Also on the grid, babies with not two, but three parents. They could be born in the UK this time next year after a historic decision giving a new fertility technique the go-ahead. It can prevent babies from inheriting deadly genetic diseases, but it's also a controversial technique.
Do you think it's ethical to intervene with a child's DNA to ensure that the baby is healthy? We have a call out on Twitter where you can let us know what you think, but be sure to use the hashtag AJNewsGrid.
Now, Leah is back with us on the news grid. This is a controversial technique, Leah. What's the conversation online about this?
Well, the doctor who did this for the first time, Dr. John Zhang, this is the picture of him here holding this little baby boy. He's a doctor out of New York, but the parents and the doctor went to Mexico to have this procedure done because it's not legal in the United States. Dr. Zhang actually was quoted as saying there were such lax regulations about it in Mexico is why they jumped down to the border. But this baby who was born in April is not showing any signs of his mother's mitochondrial disease, something that is very, very interesting. Like I said, the couple is from Jordan, and they have sought to have this done because the mom has this mitochondrial DNA disease, and they've lost two children already and sought to have this done for a third child, this one healthy so far. We wanted to ask you if you think this is ethical. So we had a long conversation about it in our editorial meeting this morning. 53% of you think, yes, it's ethical to manipulate DNA to prevent genetic diseases, but 40% of you said no. One tweet I got earlier today said this is something that should be reserved for livestock, not for people. I've been talking to Gavin out of Ireland. He said he has two healthy boys, but if they were sick and if he had this ability to go back and change their DNA, he said that he would, even if he could make them healthy. So an interesting conversation there. We would love to hear what you think. A big question I had in all this is the fact that mitochondria is in all of us, but when mitochondria malfunctions, that's when people start to get sick and even die. And in this case, of course, in all cases, it's passed through the mother, but 1 in 5,000 people we know so far suffer from this. A very, very complicated but ethically charged conversation. What do you think? Do you think it's ethical? We'd love to hear from you. You can tweet me directly at Leah Harding AJE, or you can join in on the conversation. Just be sure to use the hashtag AJNewsGrid.
Here you are in Saif al-Dawla, as we said. The first cars are planning to go and to evacuate the patients in the city of Aleppo. They are heading towards the Sukari area, then to the regime side, heading towards the countryside of Aleppo. It's nearly 8 a.m. Now, and the first cars are heading towards the leaving, towards the countryside of Aleppo and heading towards the Turkey in order to go and evacuate the civilian injuries and what have left from the people who need to an immediate evacuation, and in order not to die here under the circumstances that nobody can bear anymore here in the city.
And Leah, our social media producer, is with us now. Leah, we've seen rows upon rows of green buses lining up, waiting to take people out of eastern Aleppo. And these buses have almost taken on a symbolism of their own.
They have. I mean, they're giant lime green buses. They're really hard to miss. And we can continue to see pictures of them here. We're showing them on our different newscasts. They're muddied, they look old, and that's because they are old. These buses used to represent the freedom and the metropolitan nature that was Aleppo in 2009. I have this video for you here from 2009 showing what they used to look like, taking tourists from place to place around the old city I was in Aleppo. I remember seeing these when in the 90s when I visited, and it's almost like the double-decker bus in London. They're hard to miss. Definitely an icon. Some people have even taken it on social media and have replicated using the flag with the buses instead of the stars for the Syrian flag. In this picture too, this is from Khalid Khatib. He's a journalist with the White Helmets, posted this earlier saying, "Goodbye Aleppo, goodbye my lovely city, we'll be back soon." Posting this picture here, you can see just the rows and rows of these buses right next to ambulances, which we're also seeing quite a lot of. The narrative of the types of vehicles in Aleppo is quite interesting. The ICRC are working with the Syrian Red Crescent, who's using those ambulances, working to get civilians out of the besieged city. And Zuhour al-Shamali, the guy we just heard from in that social video, he is taking these pictures. I chatted with him. I asked him, given the chance, would you leave or are you going to stay back and document? I haven't heard back from him, but in the meantime, he has posted these photos of the ambulances that are leaving. For those who have left, I found this picture just before we went on air. One of the first pictures that I'm seeing emerging, this caption saying, "Ahna wasalu," we have arrived in western part of Aleppo, out of the besieged area. For those that haven't left, I haven't heard directly from Bana Alabed, the 7-year-old we're following, or her mom, but she wrote to the Turkish foreign minister yesterday asking what's happened, why haven't we been able to leave? He has since responded to her saying, "Keep your hope, my sister. Turkey hears your call." Definitely ongoing questions like we've been following here on the news grid, but we'd love to hear your comments on this. I have a list on Twitter that you can follow if you go to my Twitter page at Leah Harding AJE, of all different voices contributing to this conversation, those out of Russia, Iran, Syria, and the global community. Be sure to use the hashtag AJ Newsgrid when you're getting in touch with us.
And you can get in touch with Leah on Twitter as well. At Leah Harding is where you can find her. Thank you very much for that.